There's some quick breathing exercises. Great. Wonderful. Let the demons out. Let the angels in. They've been in the outfield for so long. Let them in. You know the movie?
Yeah.
Angels in the outfield.
Danny Glover.
I never saw it.
Or Christopher Lloyd, maybe both.
You can keep saying names. I've never seen it. I can't fact check you.
I remember in
But you know who can? That CNN guy.
The real fast talking guy that you liked a lot.
Mm-hmm, I loved him.
This is the Pilot On podcast.
Yes, it is.
How are you doing, Grace?
I'm well, Elliott Morgan. How are you?
I'm doing very well. We did a different type of episode last week where we talked to you guys and you guys emailed us a bunch of stuff. And this week it's Grace's turn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to give a little bit more detail there, we changed our format. And it's not just a one-time thing. We want it to be an every-time thing.
All the time.
And the format has gone from only talking about reality television that many people have not seen to now talking a bit about reality television that many people have not seen. And in addition to that, answering questions and giving advice from you guys, sending in emails to us at pilotonpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And I have to say, because it was my turn this week to go through our inbox, I'm just so smitten with everyone that sent in questions and stories and concerns. They're
people.
So lovely. They're so funny.
You guys are just sweet. You're good people.
Even in their darkness, some of them are so sweet and silly that it brought me so much joy. And I can't wait to get into them today.
I'm excited. Yeah, I feel very, just in general, pretty reclusive. And this is my, in life. So this is a nice way to touch base with other humans in a very friendly way. Yeah,
it's great. I also feel like we have that very NPR, steady, slow, slightly melancholy kind of tone to us.
It's like 9 a.m. So this is a pretty big deal for everybody.
We're up and at 'em. Cheers. Okay.
My cup says I'm introverting.
Currently introverting. It was a gift and I love it very dearly.
Get away, I'm introverted.
Go away. Do you know how to read? Is this how we find out that you are actually illiterate?
What is
that cup says, please go away, I'm introverted.
It's all the same. Don't talk to me till I've coffeeed.
But first
coffee.
Caffeine. Okay, but first, let's get into some questions.
I'm excited, Grace.
Okay, this first one. I guess we should not disclose people's names.
We did say we wouldn't do that, yeah.
If you want us to disclose your name or don't give a shit, feel free to say that in your email. But unless you do, I will be very discreet.
Also, I haven't read these, so that's how we're doing it.
Each week, one of us is going to present the other with the ones that we've read.
Here we go.
Okay, the title of this email is My Dog is Blind, Not Sleeping, 3 exclamation points. Okay. Hi, Grace and Elliott. I'll just get right to it. I have a blind rescue dog who has no eyes. He's amazing and the most friendly pup. Basically, he was born without great vision, so he gets around really well. It's kind of astounding how well he does. This means when we're out and about, people often don't notice he's blind until they see that he doesn't have eyes most of the time. Sometimes people will look at him while he's walking or when he's coming up to say hi or literally licking their hands and say something like, "Aw, he's sleeping," or "Wake up, buddy." That's when I usually say, "He's blind." And weirdly, only about 50% of the time people say, "Oh," and get it. So many people just don't take that in and will say something like, "Oh, he's so tired." Strange. My question is...
He's so tired he went blind.
Well, he has no eyes.
He got no eyes.
So my question is, how can I make this interaction more entertaining and comedic for me?
Oh,
it's
great question.
I know. Y'all are hilarious people. I love your input on this. And if you guys, this person has attached photos of Hux, the dog, for reference.
I like how last week you specifically were like, don't try just to send dogs.
There were a lot of dog photos, which was great. But they said, I've attached photos of Hux for reference, and just because I'm not a fucking monster. And these are pictures of Hux. Look at this little thing.
Oh my goodness.
Incredible. Look at that pup. And if you guys want to see Hux, they've given us Hux's Instagram. The handle is @HuxHears, HuxHears. If you want more Huxley.
Wow.
Look at
Best
this.
case scenario for a dog ain't got no eyes.
I know. And for you guys, I really think you should go check out Hux so you can experience the full beauty that is this creature. and really revel in how we can help make this interaction of this dog with humans more fun for its owner.
I'd melt. I think I'd lose my mind if I met Hux out in the street.
Oh, this is an incredible dog.
Look at that
It's a
pose.
little white fluffy thing. It looks like a little falcor.
Yeah.
But it just because he doesn't have eyes, it looks like his eyes are
He
closed.
got no eyes.
It looks like he's just sweetly enjoying the scents and the air of the outside.
Well, my first thought with this, because this is the kind of level of important question that I like to dive into.
Yeah, this is the first one I read, and I was really nervous that it would be questions that are extremely serious and outside the realm of anything we should be trying to give advice on. And then I read this, I was like, this is wonderful.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, I would just scream, he's got no eyes. I wouldn't even say blind. I don't think I would just go, he got no eyes.
I think, yeah, that's very funny.
That's it.
I also think there's something there about saying that he's like a real judge of wardrobe. Because it looks like he's just in disgust of whatever someone's wearing in front of them. Like, oh, you decided to wear that.
He's blinded by the ugly.
Yeah. Or you can just say he looked into an eclipse.
That's good. He looked into an eclipse is very good. He looks, he's so cute.
So happy looking.
You also could say he's just an incredibly animated sleepwalker.
Or that he's always posing like an Instagram model. Like he's posing, his face looks like he's constantly half laughing at a music festival.
Yeah.
And oh, what a treat. But I love that Hux's owner, they have just such a already great sense of humor. I mean, you have to with this little bundle of joy.
Oh, he's sleeping. No, he's blind.
No, he doesn't have eyes.
What if he is sometimes sleeping though? Do you end up waking Hux
Yeah,
up a lot from his poor dude probably is tired.
How do you know if he's sleeping or if he's just sort of watching you exist?
Smelling you, kind of seeing a general shape of you. It's crazy. It's so cute how they can like
what if you
take the eyes and they can still make it look like he's got like little squinty.
Yeah, like he's squinting his eyes. What if you get little dog glasses?
That's good.
Or you get sunglasses, and when someone goes to pet him, you take the sunglasses off, and you just say his eyes have to adjust.
That's great. Yeah. He's just very photosensitive.
He's sensitive to the outside.
Well, I would love to know what happened
to the eyes
between the eyes, between the poor sight and the no eyes. But good for him. Yeah, dogs are. Yeah, they don't care.
And I just think it's incredible. I mean, this dog doesn't realize that he's a different dog. And he's just walking around being a great inspiration of like, hey, I'm getting around living my best life.
I want to know more about these people that are just walking up thinking that the dog's sleeping outright.
And the dog's like getting pet and licking them back, but he's still sleeping.
Yeah, this is a sleepy. He's sleepy.
Sure.
Ooh. All right, that's fun. Good for. Who is this? Oh, we can't say the name, right? We're not saying the name.
Well, yeah, I'm
completely
choosing
go
not
back
to.
on everything.
Yeah, who is this? What's their social security number?
Sure, yeah, we'll hang out the Instagram, but no.
Any other advice on how to make this more fun?
T-shirts.
Costumes.
Yeah.
Costumes. Also, I'm trying to think of any notable celebrities that have like tired, squinty eyes to begin with. Oh, Robert De Niro. It looks like it's doing a little Godfather type of impression.
Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
You could get a T-shirt that says "Seeing Eye Person."
Oh, that's
Seeing Eye Owner.
That's a great idea.
Dress yourself up as perhaps a big cane or walking stick.
Get the dog a T-shirt that over like where the tits would be. Say my eyes are up there.
What are we on? Did you just go Howard Stern tits?
No, I'm saying one of my favorite shirt ideas for women are my eyes are up here.
Oh yeah. My eyes are. What was it?
My eyes are up here. But
my eyes are not here.
My eyes are not here. Yeah. These are not the eyes you were looking for.
These are eyes. I got no eyes.
Okay. I'm trying to think of what is a good one to move on to. Okay. This is a little in line. And this title of this email got me good. The proof is in the piss is the title of this email. Hi, guys. I work in the substance abuse treatment field and sometimes have to do an instant drug screen test called a, quote, quick cup. Basically, the guy will pee in a fancy cup that indicates to me if they recently used illegal substances. They always claim that they didn't use, but they're usually lying. It's always so awkward when I go to read the results because it means I will instantly catch them in a lie. How do you guys deal with confronting liars and trying to force them to be honest? This is interesting.
Yeah, that is super interesting.
Yeah, what a wild job, and kudos to you for having to do that job. I'd be an anxiety stress mess.
Yeah.
Of holding people accountable for stuff like that, because I'd be like, I know we all had crazy weekends, and in this world, sometimes you're gonna want to let loose, but which is not the right way to react.
So the question is, it's so awkward. He's got to do a quick cup with these people. They always tell this guy that they haven't used, but they're obviously lying. And it's always awkward when he's going to be like, so the results are you lied. How do you confront liars and trying to force them to be honest? I mean, my obvious go-to is you have to have a sense of humor about it and be like, I got to do a quick cup. And if they're like, I didn't use, and you're like, I know you did. I think you did.
Have a great time in there. I would love for you to prove me wrong.
You should put on the front of your computer a picture of Maury taking out the results from the You Are Not the Father and just have that staring at them as they hand over the cup. Dealing with liars that's a funny thing. I've done that before. I think you're right that you have to have a sense of humor about it. But in a workplace environment, I don't know how you do that. In a personal environment, I think it's way easier. You just have to ask a bunch of questions and then go, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Really?
I'm trying to think, if I were lying, if I were trying to pretend to someone that I didn't use drugs, but like we're in a substance use treatment field, so
that's crazy.
Baked in.
That's a whole, the stakes are real. It's nuts that you would lie about that.
Right.
When you know.
And I don't know the temperament of the type of people that you're working with in general. Is there a way to introduce some sort of reward system for when they do prove you wrong and have passed the quick cup? Like, can you give them, is there like a king quick cup that you can give them and make it dumb and fun?
A king quick cup?
Like king cup is like a drinking game.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can give them like, I don't know, some sort of way to build on that.
Have you ever, though, like, I think you should do whatever the protocol is for your
obviously,
job.
Yeah.
And that's it, because I have no idea how to deal with substance abuse centers or people. But in your personal life, when you deal with liars, what do you do? I
get so disappointed. Well, I mean, like, look at our president. He's like a lying person that constantly lies. And we were talking about this the other day. Like, I really try to understand the people that follow him. I really try to have some kind of compassion to really try and figure out the right way to talk to people that isn't just being like, fuck you, you piece of shit. Like, how could you think that way? Like, really try to understand what could make them see more clearly what's happening. And like we said, it's this rhetoric of like convincing yourself of a truth so hard that you believe your own lie. Yeah. And I think that's maybe what's happening here.
We're living in a weird time where lying is becoming a coded, it's all coded language and all like the lie itself doesn't matter because it's a little wink to who's in your in group. Like, and it's so crazy and sad, and it makes people feel like they're in some kind of a like identity thing. Like they got some kind of in group and some kind of community, because I guess everybody feels so lost that they've reduced it entirely down to like nationalism and like, I'm an American, and like, can't you be something? You don't be something that's like, yeah, you're an American, that's awesome, but there's a whole bunch of layers that get more and more specific that you can identify as a person. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to hate people.
Yeah, I wonder if in this situation.
You're trying to bring it back to the situation.
I'm really trying to like offer something helpful here that isn't just quacking bullshit and then shitting on the president, who is an awful liar. I'm wondering if because it's so normal for people to lie about this, that's so commonplace that it's not disappointing to anyone because they've normalized it. If you got to like swing the pendulum the other way, you got to find the coolest guy in this treatment field and get them to test negative in the drug quick cup, get them to make it cool to test negative and to not be shown. I don't know how you do that, but find the coolest guy, the one who's usually wearing a leather jacket and smoking a cigarette, like at a safe distance from the outside of the facility.
Pop collar, you know who he is.
Yeah, he's always going, hey.
Hey.
And then he gets in his time machine and he goes back to 1950.
We haven't been out in a long time. I think you enter into the fantasy with them 100%. So if they're like, I didn't take drugs, and all their tests come back positive, you can be like, man, what's crazy is you didn't take any drugs, because this machine just said you're taking everything, and I'm going to run this right up to the top. I'm going to take this to my boss, that boss, I'm going to tell them they need to take it to their boss, and we're going to get to the bottom of all these positive results, and then maybe they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, you're good. We're all elbows.
We're 7 elbows.
I mean, you can either have fun with it and make it this big to do, but I have a feeling these humans won't give a shit about that.
You know how much easier life gets when you don't lie about stuff? It gets so much simpler.
Also, maybe if you care so much about this, and now I'm circling back and going back on what I said. If you make this a big fucking to do, if you make the quick cups like Holy Grail looking like cups, and you make it this big,
quick goblets.
You dress up like, a knight, you make it a whole medieval times experience. We got turkey legs in the corner that they can eat if they pass.
With their fingers.
If they pass this drug test. You have a fair maiden that they can look at if they want. I mean, I'm assuming these are all males. That just
sounds like an event I'd want to do drugs to go to.
I'm just saying, turn this into a tiny medieval times, and these guys will test positive for drugs, probably.
Yeah, that just makes more fun. Good luck.
Good luck.
Don't lie.
I mean, this person's not lying. Everyone's lying to this person.
No, I know, not her. But
I think the best thing you can do as one last parting piece of advice is to not get disheartened by how many people are lying around you and think that that's the right way to be. Don't get sucked into that system.
Yeah.
That's it.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Is this going so well for you guys so far? Do you feel good about this so far?
I feel like we've talked a lot and not really given good advice, which is probably how this is always going to go. Okay. This, I think, is a question that a lot of people can probably relate to right now. The title of this email is Help. Is chemistry/intimacy possible in quarantine dating? Okay. Hello. I went into quarantine with a partner and ended things in June. It was a brief relationship that began just before the pandemic. I was not living with the person, so the separation was easier than other... Goose is, of course, needing attention right now. So the separation...
Go over there. Go lay down. I was wondering if intimacy is possible.
I would like to piss in a cup, please. I was not living with the person, so the separation was easier than other couple breakups I've heard of that happened during quarantine. After a few months, I got that itch to see what was out in the dating pool and decided to re-download the dating apps.
Dabble your feet, get in there.
I've gone on a few dates, all outdoors. I've made some really great connections with people who I had things in common with and was able to have good conversations with.
Wow.
The thing I am struggling with and need advice with is, how do you know if there is chemistry with someone when you are protecting your 6-foot personal space bubble? I feel like I am putting people in a default friend zone by not letting them physically closer. How do I know if this is someone I want to risk germs for, but also if I'm going to like kissing someone? Tangible advice beyond when you know would be so helpful.
Oh, boy.
I mean, that's a great question. And obviously the first go-to is like, you'll know when you want to break that little distance seal and see what's up. And this is, I think, difficult for us to give actual advice on because we've been in a relationship since the start of quarantine.
We've been staring at each other for 7 months.
We haven't experienced this. However, I do have a friend that started dating someone during the pandemic, and was talking over, like, I think met through a dating app, and then finally decided to meet in person. But before they did that, they both went and got COVID tested and like showed each other their results. And so it was a totally fair game.
Hot.
Yeah. I mean, there is something kind of sexy about that, by going like, I like you enough to go get tested and show you my results. Weird world that we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just know, like, there's an open door, but that doesn't mean we're going to walk through that door.
Yeah, I'd be worried more about like the facial cues, like not getting to see people. But I guess if you're apart, then they're probably not wearing masks. But in my mind, like I'd be more freaked out to date and be wearing masks the whole time because you wouldn't be able to see like.
I was thinking about this.
Jokes are landing.
Yeah, that's true. If they're smiling or if they're cringing.
Yeah.
This made me think that dating now is almost or is closer to that Love is Blind dating show where you're really just getting to know someone based solely on personality. There's no real physicality, though you can see this person that you're going on dates with.
Good for you, by the way. Good for getting out there regardless, because you're jumping through the hoops and you're doing the work, and that's beautiful.
I also think it is really cool that you are playing it safe, because clearly a lot of people aren't right now, and all fucks have been given and people are just throwing caution to the wind. So I think it's really respectful that you are taking it seriously and protecting yourself and the other people that you're going on dates with.
It might be easier too what do you think about this, Grace? Let me know if you agree with this hot bag of advice.
All right.
It might be easier to actually develop a sense of attraction and intimacy because there's a limit, because there's rules in place, there's a boundary, there's a prohibition.
This is like why people that grew up Catholic are so horny.
Exactly. It's like you don't do it, you can't do it.
Can't do it, must want.
Exactly. So it creates a desire. So if there's no desire and you're doing the 6 foot distancing, then I think you definitely have your answer. I think you gotta get the heck out of there.
I think I know you don't want advice that's like when you know, but there is a sense of like, if you're friend zoning everyone immediately just based off proximity, I would question, am I doing this based off proximity, or do I want to move closer on the picnic blanket to this person?
Yeah.
Or am I using proximity as an easy way to subtly let this person down because I'm actually not physically attracted to them?
Man, I saw that Match.com commercial they have now, and it's like a quarantine Match.com thing.
Oh, that they're talking over Zoom or something.
Yeah, that I was like, that's the craziest and not okay type of thing to be happening.
But it's what everyone's doing.
But you got to do it. And also, there's a whole other world where people are, like this person saying they broke up with someone right at the start of quarantine. That's very sad, and I hope everything went as well as it could have. And it sounds like it did, and good for you for hopping back in it. But people that are like stuck in quarantine that are just like, we're in shock half the time that we're doing so well and we're good.
Burned our house to the ground, metaphorically and literally.
But it's been a lot of people, it's like the opposite. The chemistry and intimacy thing isn't just a social distancing thing. It's like you have to keep an eye on that if you're also in close proximity all the time and in oversaturated, because you got to make sure that you're still treating each other like humans and not just an extension of yourselves. Of yourself.
Yeah, maybe this is a cool opportunity, and this is me just trying to find glass half full moments here, for you to realize that the getting to know someone's personality and finding that sexy enough to want to touch them physically is a new route. Because if this is so
I know.
if this is so uncomfortable and everyone's friend zoned, maybe it's worth exploring. Like, are you E.T.?
I like that's how I get you. Just.
I know. It's like E.T. fingers reaching out to gently caress my shoulder. That's my number one turn on. Get out of here. If you start saying Reese's Pieces, I got to go change my pants.
It all makes sense now.
I think there's a question here for me that comes up of like, because you've had some really great dates, but you still don't know if you have chemistry with these people. Like, maybe they are truly friend zoned. Like, maybe you haven't done dating where you have to get to know someone on a personality level first and then a physical side first.
Years ago, I was advised by, I think you're right. And I think that, because I think people think that if you're going on a date, you put a lot of pressure on it. And I think 99% of the time it doesn't work, and it's not going to work. And even if it does work, it's temporary. So I think that you just going.
Every noise.
But yeah, she's like a one-man band.
Yeah, she was dead asleep before we started doing. There's something that she doesn't like when we start talking, not to her, to each other, but like around her, and she freaks out about.
But
strange behavior.
The advice I got was like, go on as many dates as you possibly can, and just be like, nope. Nope. And so that way you find out real quick who you like, and you go into it with the expectation that you're probably just going to you're learning what you don't like about people as well as what you do like about people. And then the moment you learn that, you can take it into your next thing and have a better, more well-rounded understanding of what you're attracted to.
Yeah, I think that's great. There's also
it took Grace a while to realize she liked ET stuff.
Really long time. Yeah. That was a full journey for me.
You really like that response. Yeah, just completely checked out.
No, I'm really trying. I'm racking my brain here to try and figure out, because this basically, it all boils down again. This all is just distilled when you know type of advice.
It all is, yeah.
But I think you're right that if you keep going on dates, because this is a whole new normal way of dating, that you are getting to know people in a really different way, because I think we're all losing our minds, right? We're all unraveling a little bit. Yeah. So you're seeing a side of a person, or you're going on a date with a person that probably wasn't like this 6 months ago.
Isn't that crazy? So that's a whole thing we should talk about.
I know. You might be seeing the most authentic side of this person that, had you started getting in a relationship with this person, you wouldn't see till 6 months into the relationship. You know what I mean? I feel like people, for the most part, are more raw and vulnerable because fuck it, everything's fucking crazy.
And we're
that side, that is got to be complicated on top of the giving distance, playing by the rules, but also trying to figure out if you're physically attracted. And what if you're physically attracted? That presents a whole new set of obstacles to try and figure out. So to keep you safe, your brain might also be putting these very cool people in the friend zone, so you don't even have to worry about the obstacles of figuring out the physicality.
Also, your brain might be doing it as a defense mechanism, because your brain has a hum of what the heck is going on behind it at all times. Unless maybe you don't. And a lot of people are like, everything's fine. Everything's totally fine. And those are the ones you need to worry about.
Yeah.
I think that if you meet somebody like, I'm exactly the same person as I was a year ago, you should run away as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine anything more terrifying than someone being like, I've remained unaffected.
Yeah, that person's going to explode at some point.
and you're going to be there.
You don't want to be. That's like when you put the rubber bands on a watermelon and you never know when it's going to just fully explode. That person's a watermelon with about 300 rubber bands wrapped around it at that time.
Wow, I didn't even know that's a thing, and I'd love to get a watermelon.
Yeah, you should go on YouTube.
All right.
I also like that we've been giving advice very hard and fast, and then at some point we either immediately retract or give the complete opposite side of that advice.
What was the opposite? No, I've stuck by what we're doing.
I feel like I keep considering all sides of every possible solution to every answer or to every question. Okay. Do we want to do one more? Do we want to get into?
I say one more.
Okay. Well, this last one that I picked is kind of heavy.
Let's get controversial.
It's a little heavy. It's called Death is Happening and I'm Curious.
All
right. So this is the last quick little one for us to go through.
I love the structure.
The past 2 years, I've experienced a lot of deaths in my life. First was my grandpa on my mom's side and my grandma on my dad's side. Then a friend I met out salsa dancing. Then a bird that I'm bird watching died while I was on duty. She was really old, but still tragic. I've been there. I house sat when I graduated college, and the dog that was in the house that I was house sitting for was super old and died right after I was done house sitting. Then my part-time roommate died. Part-time because him and his wife migrate to the south during the cold months. None have been COVID related, so I guess I'm thankful for it, but death is death. My mom and I talk about our death plans a lot since this started happening, so we know what to do when the time comes. I want a natural burial, aka just stick me in the ground. Do you guys talk about death? If yes, then what's your death plan?
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, this is why I was like to you yesterday, I was like, these questions are fascinating because they're not just, stereotypical relationship questions. It's a wide gamut, which is what we wanted to answer on here.
Oh, I love this. Yeah, no, I really love it.
I thought you were very turned off by this.
No.
Thank you for this question. This is, I think, super fascinating because we'll joke about it. And I think we both said we want to be cremated.
Yes.
At least I know that that's what I want. I don't want to be buried in the ground. I want the cheapest way to go.
Yeah.
You can throw me off a cliff.
I like cremated because it feels...
But you can spread the ashes. I don't need to have. I don't need to be in an urn somewhere on someone's mantle. I don't need to be made into a diamond that someone wears around their neck. I don't need to be kept around.
I'll make you something though.
Okay, that's great, wonderful. I want to be made.
Where do you want to have your ashes spread,
I want to be.
Grace
I want to
Helbig?
be put into some sausage casing, and then put in a hot dog bun and then shot out of a hot dog cannon.
Okay.
That's what I want.
You want one of those funny funerals?
Yeah, I want to.
I want everybody to come and laugh and have a good time.
I mean, what's the alternative?
Yeah, we're such a strange generation that way, and so weirdly, the rituals and stuff that parents and grandparents had, I don't know that our generation tends to have. I don't think we care too much about that.
Yeah, I know.
Stuff.
I don't. I also like. I haven't experienced a ton of death in my life, and I know that that's upcoming for me. So sometimes I think about it, and then sometimes I go, ooh, don't think about that too much. Don't get yourself all wrapped up in something right now. Wait for, you don't need to go down that road you don't need to travel there.
Sometimes when I get kind of high, I become acutely aware of my finitude, and it scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
And I also, love hanging out with you, and so in my mind, I'm always like, oh, that sucks. That like one day if this, we get old and we die. Oh no, that's not fun. But I mean, it's a necessary thing. I mean, I and to talk about it's so interesting because we're surrounded by so much death right now, and yet we become so desensitized to it because the numbers just keep piling
Which
up.
is why I think I was okay to talk about this a little bit, is that it is real and also wildly desensitizing at this moment. I do also, I'm not a religious person. I grew up Catholic, but I'm not. But I do believe that like something happens after. I don't believe that there's a heaven or a hell, but I believe like something else goes on in some mystical world after this. Like I really have a hard time, and I think it's incredibly morbid and depressing and a little selfish to believe like this is it.
We've kind of, and also to harken back to the last question, I feel like in talking about being different people since quarantine, I personally have felt more, not religious would be the wrong word, but more spiritual.
Yeah,
more
which I guess is a type of way to be religious. It's the same, sentiments of like I have a belief that something else happens that gives me the strength to feel okay and not cry every moment of every day right now as I'm alive.
Yeah, and to appreciate. Yeah, and to appreciate, and a certain level of like submitting and being like, okay, the universe is a crazy, crazy, crazy thing.
There's so much shit that we don't know about that's going on. Like it would be so incredibly selfish of me to believe I knew everything that's happening.
Hey, yeah, and I think too also it's even kind of foolhardy to think you even know all the time what your beliefs are. I don't feel like I woke up one day during this quarantine time and was like, I'm going to be more spiritual now. I'm back. I'm not this like atheistic, cynical Elliott anymore. I don't feel like I decided it. I feel like I realized it, and I was like, oh, okay, that is actually felt more true to who I was, not like I was trying to like necessarily comfort myself, even though I'm sure that's a part of it. But death is a crazy thing. I fear the death of my parents. That freaks me out a lot. That I know is going to be super tough, and I worry about it all the time. And I worry about just the sense of being like, does everybody know that I love them, and everybody gets it's, you never know. And I guess tell people that you love them, I guess I
think it's cool that you and your mom talk about it, because I think that is the thing that makes a parent or child's death so difficult, is because you don't talk about it. So you don't prepare, you don't think about it, you don't allow yourself to try it on emotionally. And so when it happens, it's just a complete shock and complete like the horrible torment, so I think it's really kind of cool and interesting that you and your mom talk about it. And one, it's a very mature thing to do and responsible thing to do, just to create a plan. I feel like right now all we can do is create plans for every possible thing that could happen, because you really don't freaking know what's gonna happen.
And we're just buzzkills. We just like to bum each other out.
I mean, it's not something obviously that I love talking about, but I do think that there is huge value in being able to talk about it. And like you said, I think, yeah, you can never truly solidify your beliefs necessarily. The cool thing about being a human is the constant evolution of yourself in the world, and
you're learning. Yeah.
Leaving yourself open to what's the word I'm looking for? Evolving and changing and reshaping your beliefs as the world changes around you.
And enjoying your doubt a little bit is a fun one. If we're gonna get real into this
enjoying
stuff,
your what?
I could talk about this stuff forever. So
what did you say?
Giving yourself a room for doubt.
Doubt. Yeah.
A little bit of like
enjoying your doubt. That's cute.
What bums me out a bunch about what's going on in this situation that we're currently in the world, if we can just keep getting more and more of a bummer, is it seems like there is a large group of people that have everything figured out, and I can't imagine a worse situation to be in life, that you think you've got it figured out, or that you think you're either done or that you've got some handle on this. I just feel like there's one type of having a handle where it keeps your sanity, and there's another type of having a handle on it that is actually, I think, making you more insane because you're pretending that you got it all figured out. And the universe is too crazy and life is too nuts to feel like you can keep track of everything going on.
I think that's really well said.
Is it? I don't know.
I think that's great and very helpful, because it does, when you relinquish control a little bit in that way, I think you get a little happier.
How crazy is it that you are dead for like eternity, and then for like a blink, you're like around, and then you're dead for like another eternity? That's crazy.
I mean,
like you weren't here. You weren't alive. And then now you are for a second, and then you're not going to be.
Yeah. Like a movie.
It's like you get like, yeah.
You get a couple hours of playtime, and then you're done.
And a little hour of playtime, yeah.
So enjoy everything that's going on right now. Pet those blind dogs. Okay, speaking of things that don't last forever. Speaking of things that only exist for short periods of time, let's talk about the most recent episode of Married at First Sight.
I posted a thing on Twitter that was a bunch of people were like, Hank Green, John Green. It was Bennett.
Yeah. Because
Bennett has this monologue. Can I play the monologue? Do you
Please
mind?
do. It encapsulates. It's one of the greatest sound bites that I've ever seen on a reality program in general.
Yep, it really is, and
and I've been saying since the very first episode that Bennett reminds me of John Green.
Yeah, and everyone confirmed it. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm not alone.
Here we go. I don't know how good this quality is going to be.
The whole situation is pretty demented, it's pretty crazy. I'm having a great time, but it's still like it's just a sequence of radical and weird events, that, I saw coming since I signed up for this, but with every new moment, it just becomes more and more surreal and strange.
That perfectly encapsulates everything that's happening.
I mean, I expected I signed up for it. But every
just
waking
surreal and strange. Oh, it's wonderful.
He's my favorite person on television right now.
The two of them together are they just continue to be a better and better couple. And this is the first week that I went and I checked Twitter and what Twitter was saying about the show afterwards. And yeah, Twitter confirms that Bennett and Amelia, and Woody and Amani are like two great couples going strong. Except this episode, Woody disappointed me a little bit. And Pastor Cal impressed me quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah, because in the conversation Woody and Amani are having, Pastor Cal stirs the pot a little bit because they're riding high. They're like having a great, easygoing relationship. And then Pastor Cal says something along the lines of like, but what could mess this all up? What's something that could like ruin this for you? And then Woody said, he tried to make a metaphor that if Amani were to like cut off all her hair one day and come back bald, that would be extremely bad because he didn't have a say in that decision. And that seemed very...
Don't do that.
Yeah, it was like a record player scratch. No, what are you talking about? Do you hear yourself? And she even said to Pastor Cal, do you hear him? And he's like, I hear him, yeah. And but then Pastor Cal was able to get to the root, which is that Woody in a previous relationship was with someone who got pregnant, and they decided to terminate the pregnancy without getting his full permission. So he's got this scar about people making decisions on their bodies without him. And I don't think, obviously, that he realizes the difference between that situation.
There's a slight difference if you think about it. Yes, we're not going to dive into the differences in these two scenarios.
But this is why I was like, thank God Pastor Cal is there, because this is a conversation that needs to be like facilitated and mediated, and I still don't think he understood the Woody. I don't think he fully got what was being shown to him.
What was Pastor Cal's response? Because I was like, this is emotional manipulation. This is not. It's you're upping the ante to an umpteenth degree. If you're like, you have to tell me if you cut your hair because one time something bad happened to me. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think he was trying to go, you see the difference between, and even Amani, God bless her, she did not lose her cool. She was just like. She was like, I understand why you would be upset about that previous situation in your relationship. That's different than me and my body and my hair. Like, if I'm going to go cut my hair and come back, I don't need your permission to do that. But like, yeah, having a baby is a major decision between a couple.
Yeah.
And I think they got to work a little harder to really make it clear to him the difference of those two situations.
It's like one of those little things that like pops out of like the dude's mouth, and then it's like you should suck it back into the mouth. And
but no, I'm like, for the sake of their good relationship,
thing, not him sharing that stuff.
No, I know, but I'm like, oh, I'm glad this came up so early for them, because this could be a really bad thing later on if this showed up, in some way. But for him to like present, here's my previous trauma, and because of that, now I have these associations with this that aren't the right associations. Like, I think then they can work to go, okay, we're going to work on this wound, this trauma, and help you like work through that, so this doesn't keep getting associated and mapped on everything that Amani does in this new relationship.
Grace, I appreciate what you're saying. I'm going to slightly give you a little bit of pushback here.
Please do.
I think there's a little bit of BS happening and a little bit of trying to get away, a little bit of trying to sidestep out the side door on that conversation from Woody. And I think that it's a boundaries conversation, and it's a way of changing the subject and moving the goalpost a little bit. I'm going to use as many metaphors in one sentence.
I'm not following you.
It's like if I say something to you where I'm like, you can't do this, or you need to ask me first, which happens a lot. And then you're like, okay, well, it's like a boundary thing. Like I can't impose upon you a rule that you, with your own hair, that you have to come to me. Okay. And then you're like, that's a problem. And then I go, oh, well, you can't be upset with me because what happened is this bad thing happened to me one time. And so it's like, okay, well, we can talk about that thing for sure, because that's a huge thing. It's way more important.
Yeah.
But that's totally separate than this thing. And then, then you get to the working through that stuff.
Right. I'm saying that they have to like, no, he can't use it like that. I'm saying to recognize.
This is such a serious
I know. But we started with a blind dog. But I'm saying that for him to bring up that he's got this harmful association because of that thing is great to see immediately, to go, okay, we're going to work to start disconnecting your previous pain, and because you keep mapping it onto me because you haven't handled that, and that is so different than me getting my hair cut. I'm like, cool, glad this red flag came up, that they can start untangling for him so he doesn't continue to ruin the relationship and tell Amani that she can't do certain things because he hasn't figured this other thing out for himself.
Yeah, also, like the girl who's dating and social distancing and stuff, like the distance that you're having could create a boundary that could create a desire to like be closer to the person because you're not supposed to because of the social distancing or whatever. Similarly, I feel like if you're like, you can't cut your hair unless you tell me first, it's going to create a desire in your partner to do something, not to make both of you happy, but to prove her own independence, rightfully so. And that's not fun. You'd rather somebody go get whatever haircut they want, and you would hope that they want you to like it. You would assume that they would, but you don't want to take that away from them by being
no,
but yes,
if I'm Amani, I go, cool, this is going to be difficult, but at least I now know when you tell me something where it's coming from, and I can go, I'm not your previous relationship. I'm not going to get pregnant and get rid of the baby that this is coming from. I'm simply going to go get my hair cut, okay? And like start to slowly diffuse that like trigger for that person.
It is funny to imagine her saying that though with just a totally shaved head.
I know.
Hey.
I do. I mean, I think that there's still hope, and it's
they're great.
And the fact that they're getting to their like major, triggers immediately, and I'm like, cool, work through this right away. This is great.
That's the biggest problem.
And the fact that Amani was open and heard him, like, I thought that was so cool of her. She just continues to impress me.
She's sweetie.
She's
sweetie.
On the other side of that is Brett and Olivia, who everyone keeps comparing Brett to Zach, to Luke, and to I forget his name, but the basketball player from that other season.
Oh, is that who that was?
Yeah.
He's that guy. He's definitely that character.
But I will say this episode though, like, even though he tends to rub me the wrong way here and there, when she was talking about her finances was their big conversation, and how she's worried that because he doesn't make a certain amount of money, she's gonna have to compromise her lifestyle because she's not gonna pay for him to travel with her, and he can't afford it. So what's he gonna do? I was like, oh, shoot. I give him credit in that conversation of being like, I only make a certain amount of money. So if you foot the bill, I'd love to travel the world with you. And she's like, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, well, we're at a standstill. I don't know.
The situation.
And so, yeah, and she was getting more and more upset. And I love an independent woman. And I'm very much the same of Olivia. Like, I'd rather spend money on experiences than like a purse or shoes or something. And I understand that insecurity of feeling like, oh, I am going to be the breadwinner for this relationship. I don't know what the solution is.
You've never had to deal with that. So count your stars.
But I don't know what she wanted. I mean, clearly it's something that bothers her. But I also think that Brett's just getting on her nerves in general, and that the money thing is an easy way to be like, see?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think,
I mean, to be honest, like that whole conversation was so uncomfortable, and it was interesting to see.
Oh yeah, when they pranked you on that show, because he got up at one point and you just went, he's walking out because of that, and the music changed and it was super dramatic because she had just started crying about him not making enough money to travel with her, and he got up and he walked out of frame, and then they turned the camera and he was just walking to the other side of the room to get her tissues. You got pranked. You thought he was storming out.
I gotta play you guys another video though of my girlfriend just railing on me for like a really long time. Listen. That's Grace just making fun of me for 20 minutes, going, "You got got.
You got got." He just went and got tissues. You got got. You thought that music change was him storming out of the whole apartment. You got got. That editor fucking got you.
It was very funny, and yeah, it did get me. And they did the little reality show thing, and they got me.
It was great. Quickly,
I don't want to talk about the double.
Miles and Karen.
Don't make me talk about them.
About what?
Miles and Karen are great. I don't want to talk about this.
Oh, what? What are you talking about?
Henry.
Oh, Henry. Okay. Miles and Karen are okay. Karen clearly isn't attracted to Miles. Miles is a good dude. He's too sweet. She likes a guy that like ruins her emotions, it seems like, and he's too nice and accommodating. Yeah. And so she seems to be a little closed off, and she's worried that he's going to hurt her, which she's been hurt. I feel for both of them. I think it's a really tough situation. I saw Twitter is like going in on Karen and saying that she's like Katie from last season. And I feel bad for her because she was clearly super hurt from her last relationship. The guy cheated on her and had a baby with someone else. And so I just don't think in general Karen was maybe ready for this show regardless of who they paired her with. And it's a little unfortunate because Miles is trying his best and in his emotions. That dude is one. He's a sweetie. He is a sweetie, and he's dealing with a lot. And the fact that he's open about it and being sensitive, I think is really cool and really important to see. He's being himself.
It's beautiful.
But to see like a young adult man talk openly about feeling depressed and having clinical depression, you don't see that on television. And I think that's really important. And that's why it makes us uncomfortable, is because it's not normal. And I think that he's doing a really good service to a lot of young men that don't know how to deal with their feelings and haven't sought help and haven't tried to figure themselves out. Instead, toxic masculinity pushes him down, and a big strong man like comes out, and that's a lot more harmful than someone explaining to their recent wife that they have clinical depression.
She definitely seems to be like.
I don't know that she's in the right space emotionally to work with this.
Yeah,
so.
she's not in that stage. She seems to want somebody who's like, she wants to jerk.
Yeah, I think she's just going to be kind of closed off and distant, and they're going to not work out, is my assumption.
Yeah, he's representing sort of the amount of work that he's clearly done work on himself. He understands himself. He takes himself very seriously. And all of the fruits of his labor of introspection and of getting to, becoming a fully formed person, it is a good metaphor that sometimes it can just not be what somebody's into.
Yeah.
And that's part of
that
life.
said, he also had 10 previous relationships. So
in 10 years.
So I who knows? It's hard to track where the emotional legitimacy. I don't know. I wish them the best. And then you have Christina and Henry, and I don't know what's going to go on. Christina.
Lawsuits.
Well, they went to each other's homes to get their stuff to move in together in their apartments. And we got to see Henry's weird little studio apartment with a tiny little closet kitchen. And it's, he's an introverted, like, quiet dude. And then she just said that she basically lives in her car.
Also, like,
but that's everyone on Twitter was like, did we just learn that Christina's homeless this episode? But also, I respect if she's like, I don't want you to come to my house. I just met you.
Yeah,
like,
I would respect that. That's not what she did. She was like,
yeah.
It's all out of my car. And also, though, his kitchen is in the ground. It's a bunker kitchen. And also, he made up some weird thing about having, like, a party. And it was spoken like someone who has never been to a party, let alone throw one. And then it cuts to her, and she's like, he's never going to throw a party. He doesn't.
In their situation.
And then at one point he says all of his friends moved away.
And that he plays video games with their children.
Anyway, is this the saddest episode of this podcast we've ever done?
No, I think it's good.
The happiest thing we talked about was a blind dog.
Yeah, that's okay. In the state of the world, these are important conversations, I think. I don't know. I feel the most for the camera crew that has to be on Christina and Henry.
No, they're having the amount of eye contact that they're making with Christina.
I don't know. It's a tough situation all the way around. We'll see how long it goes for. I can't imagine what comes up when they have to quarantine together.
And Married at First Sight in Australia has just become the most scripted reality show that I've ever seen.
That was so fun at first, and now it is just so scripted seeming. And in like the comparison of these two shows is just like, this seems so real-ish.
Yeah.
And then real and uncomfortable and awkward, like in all of its like marinated, socially awkward human juices kind of thing.
Yep.
And then the Australian version is just like, so it's like someone made, I'm losing a metaphor.
Keep it there.
I was gonna say the U.S.
There
version is like a sloppy homemade tuna fish sandwich, and then the Australian version is like one of those fake roasted turkeys that they use in like Target commercials for Thanksgiving sales.
That they spray with something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's really, you got there.
Okay. I have exhausted so much of my brain in this episode.
Also,
I hope any of this was helpful or enjoyable in any capacity.
Who knows? Y'all let us know. You can email us at pilotonpodcast@gmail.com.
Please do.
To give us wonderful entries. You guys are saying really sweet things. Thank you. It'll be me choosing the prompts next week. And also, though, we tried watching that show that some of y'all recommended, which was like a Survivor thing on Discovery. That's like the incredible race or most difficult race.
The hardest race on Earth or something.
Couldn't get it.
It's fine. I'm just it's interesting. These people are superhuman, so it's so unrelatable to me. And there's no backstabbing.
Yeah,
that's what we miss. We're like, it's like Survivor, but just physical challenges.
Yeah. Cool. It's just stuff I could never do. All right. It's like watching that American
There's no
Gladiator.
psychological warfare.
No. Also Lovecraft Country's really good. We were watching that. We can get out of here. Let's get out of here.
See you next week.